Fresh off his first start of the season, Commanders quarterback Taylor Heinicke joins us to discuss his return to action. And Taylor got a huge boost from the ground game. We go inside the film room to show you how Scott Turner is utilizing his running backs in multiple ways. And with the team hoping to make it 3 in a row when they travel to Indianapolis, we head to the practice field to see how the team is preparing for the Colts. And welcome on into Command Center. Julie Donaldson with London, Fletcher, and Santana here today. Boy, 2 games in a row kind of feels pretty good for some reason. It's like turn the corner here a little bit. It's nice to be able to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can string together a couple wins, and for us being able to beat the Green Bay Packers, we know what type of team they were. Having the great Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. It was homecoming weekend. All the former players being here. It was just a beautiful weekend.
And I just want to apologize because I thought it was stupid of us to even put those guys up for our homecoming. But I'm glad the team was able to go out and have some success. Very happy
that they did. It was a complete game on all facets, and so it's a little bit different here this week at practice. After starting the season at 1-4, they seem to have turned a corner the past few weeks here, stringing together those back-to-back wins against the Bears and then the Packers. Now, offensively, getting it done on the ground. Take a look at this number, averaging 147 rushing yards during the past 2 games. And on defense, they've quietly become the league's second-ranked third down unit, holding opponents to just a 29% conversion rate. If we're to sit there and kind of try and pinpoint what has been the biggest difference from where they started the season to where they are now, Santana, what would you attest that to?
I think you just spoke on it. I think our defense playing stingy. I've been talking about this defense for the last, 4 or 5 weeks, but the last 2 weeks in particular, these guys have held, both opponents to 21 yards combined. And if you're talking about our offense, you want to put them into the equation, that two-headed monster is starting to come alive back there. We're starting to see what the effects can be when we have a great running game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this thing could become.
And they're not giving up the explosive plays like they were beginning of the season as well.
Yeah, not giving up the explosive plays on the back end of the defense and being able to get to the quarterback, getting more pressure on him. We didn't get to Rodgers in the game on Sunday, but we got a lot of pressure on him. He felt the presence of our defensive line, and he knew he had to get the ball out of his hands a lot quicker. And when you look at it also in this 2-game winning streak, there's been a lot of complimentary football. The special teams have contributed. Another takeaway with the muff punt. I mean, Tress Way, the things he's able to do with that football, punting, and it does tricks to the punt returners. Great complimentary football. That's why we've been able to win ball games.
And of course, the turnovers that they've been able to grab from that as well on special teams. But that's what they always say is you have to be able to have the offense complement the defense and then special teams as well. It's a team game here. Okay, so we want to keep it going though. What is the trick when you're feeling like this to keep it going, Santana?
There's no trick. I mean, I think one of the things that you've seen now, that our offense have to continue to play the way they've been playing, especially on third down. Last week was a much better performance and outcome for them on the third down, and our defense has been doing it week in and week out. To say that they was going to stop Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to have no third down conversions, it was like almost saying that's impossible. But they went out there and did. I think our offense has to continue to move the ball and put up points.
This week they're going to have a different quarterback that they're going up against than what they might have prepared for with Matt Ryan. Sam Ehlinger takes over as the Colts are kind of shaking things up a little bit. But London, you can anticipate he was probably going to use his legs a little bit more than what Matt Ryan would have. And we've seen how that can be a little bit of a challenge. Even when Aaron Rodgers got out there and ran a little bit, he was able to throw that touchdown pass, being able to extend the play. But you're trying to prepare for a quarterback that you don't have much film on.
Yeah, you've had some opportunity to see him in the preseason, and he ran around, made some plays during the preseason. You understand his athleticism. So when you look at him, what can the coach do differently from an offensive standpoint to make him comfortable in the game plan? Move the pocket, bootlegs, a lot of things like we did with Taylor Heinicke, not just asking him to be a drop back quarterback. That's why I anticipate the coach doing it. Also leaning more on their run game with a guy like Sam Ehlinger at the quarterback position.
And that's the same thing I said. We haven't seen the guy pass the ball that much in a real, actual, NFL game. But the preseason is going to be our test. We're going to have to watch what this guy did on film. But when you have a guy like him, he's going to get his confidence from moving around, trying to get some of those first downs and making those plays with his legs. So we have to be efficient when it comes to, those lanes as a defender, especially those guys up front, making sure they stay sound and making sure they protect the edge.
Well, the Colts are 3-3-1 coming into this game, and with the moves, Washington feels maybe this game is quite winnable. Now, if we're talking about some return yards for the Commanders, running back Antonio Gibson finished Sunday's game against the Packers with an impressive 155 total yards, and with the emergence of rookie running back Brian Robinson, offensive coordinator Scott Turner is finding new and unique ways to get his playmaker the ball in space. For more on the creativity of the offensive side of the ball, we send it to Logan Paulsen inside the film room.
Man, it was so fun to revisit this film after watching this game again. And I think one of the things that stuck out to me is how Scott Turner used formation, personnel, and motion to put his guys in the best position to be successful, particularly our guy, Antonio Gibson. And Antonio Gibson has some special traits, but also he was helped out a ton by what Scott Turner did. So this is the first play that he was in on, kind of the big run that he had. Nice run off right tackle for, I think it was a 22-yard gain. Love that. Love what's going on, but I think there's a lot of nuance here that people don't understand. So let's break this down real quick. So first things first, I love that they're in a bunch here. Bunch to the bottom right here. We got our bunches here. 1, 2, 3 guys down here. And Scott Turner starts off with a motion. Now just pay attention to what's happening here, because this is the run surface for the Packers. These are the 6 guys they put on the field to stop the run. But watch what this motion does. Watch what happens to Devondre Campbell on the motion. He has to move out of the box. And then your nickel player, number 29, is now in the box. So as a coach, if I had a preference, the person that I'd want in the box making the tackle is definitely this guy who weighs 245 pounds, not the guy who's 210 pounds right here. So in addition to the motion, he brings back a cross-sift block. He brings the tight end back across the formation, which takes this safety in his eyes and says, I have to match this to the flat. And that's exactly what he does. So essentially you go from having a 7-man blocking surface now to 2 guys just based on motion, 2 guys blocking 3 defensive players for the Packers here. Love it. So excellent job. And then this nickel player here is not super fired up about fitting the run. So what that allows, it allows Gibson to kind of take his time in the backfield and get to the edge. There's other stuff going on here, which we're going to take a look from the end zone, but that's one just X's and O's schematic thing that really helps you out here. So again, we get the motion, bringing guys out of the box. Love that. Get out of here, Devondre. And then we get Gibson with the ball. Now, I think if Devondre Campbell's in the box here, this is right downhill for the tackle here. Get a guy who's a little bit less stoked about filling the blocks, and then these guys deserve a lot of credit too. Sadiq Charles Lucas there do a great job here of just staying on their guys, and then the center Larson does a great job coming off on this block and really giving Gibson an opportunity to bounce to the end. But the most important thing here is Lucas staying engaged, because watch this linebacker here. He says, oh, this is his gap. That's my run responsibility. But when Gibson pushes the ball inside, he says, nope, I'm going to bounce back in here. Lucas stays with it, captures the edge, and then you get what takes good runs, good average NFL runs to great NFL runs is receivers blocking. And that's what you get here, right? So you get scheme, you get personnel all helping each other out here, and you end up with a huge play here for the Commanders offense that really sparked this drive. And you love to see that. Oh, let's go back. What's going on here? See, got a little shoulder shake here. Love to see that. Little confidence from our guy there. Love that. All right. So now, next thing we got down here is formation again. This team is in quarters coverage. They got 4 guys playing quarters of the field here, right? Interesting formation here because they've got a running back and a tight end down here at the bottom with your 3 wide receivers up here at the top. An unusual formation. You think the matchup would be here up at the passing strength. Green Bay thinks that too. This guy, number 26 in the middle of the field here, look at him. He's like, all right, well, I think they're going to throw the ball up here. I'm going to open my hips that way. I'm going to open my hips to that side, and then you ensure a beautiful 2-on-2 route combination here. You get 2 and 2 right there, helping each other out. The other thing that's great about this play is the release. Love the release here. You're going to release inside here and go vertical. And what that does is it declares to this safety that I have you in man-to-man coverage now, right? And when Gibson goes out and vertical, it declares that I have you in essentially man-to-man coverage, because quarters versus vertical route concepts equals man coverage. So what happens now is when you do this, what does 31 do? He opens his hips. Now, if I wanted to run a route here, I would want to run an in-breaking route. I'd want to run to the field here because I know there's no leverage here. We just talked about how the safety's matching the receiver strength here, and just check this out, man. You get Gibson with outside leverage running a post. You can't draw this up any better than this. This is exactly what you want. Taylor Heinicke does a great job with his eyes ensuring this. Cole Turner draws 2 players here. They don't get this communicated, don't get this passed off. And again, that is simply just play design and putting your guys in excellent position to be successful. I love how Scott Turner was able to get to this stuff because they were able to stay on the field. They ran 72 plays. Love to see that kind of execution, and it leads to big plays like this and big touchdowns, and it helps to have a running back who can catch touchdowns like a receiver. Man, I am so excited for the Colts game because I just want to see Scott Turner get to more of this play design.
All right, thanks, Logan. That offense really found their rhythm in the second half. Now, after this commercial break, Taylor Heinicke joins me to take us through his first start of the season. And we send Santana and London down to the practice field as the team hopes to extend their 2-game winning streak this weekend against the Colts. Welcome back to Command Center. In Sunday's contest against the Packers, quarterback Taylor Heinicke was able to shake off the slow start and lead Washington to their second straight victory. Heinicke finished the afternoon completing 60% of his passes for 201 yards, a pair of touchdowns, and an interception. Taylor Heinicke with me here. All right, Taylor, the dust has settled a little bit because there were a lot of emotions after that game. Where's the feelings, the emotions now?
They're kind of dying down. I'm trying to get them to die down a little bit. You know, it's a long season, and we got to get ready for Indy. So I'm going to enjoy this one today and dive into Indy tomorrow. So I'm going to try and enjoy it for the rest of the day.
We were very well aware that Green Bay was your team growing up, and it's something that you would bond with your dad over. Unfortunately, your dad not being able to be here, but what do you think he would be saying, and how would he be celebrating this with you?
Yeah, it's pretty standard for my dad. He would give me this famous bear hug, tell me he's proud of me, he loves me, and then we would probably share a beer over some steak or something. So I know he was watching down yesterday, and he's really proud of me.
I know your entire family is, as is the fan base as well. Mm-hmm. Are you aware, do you hear the chants from the crowds of Heinicke, Heinicke? Do you hear that when you're in the moment?
Not really. I mean, sometimes I hear it, but again, like yesterday, that was the last thing that was on my mind. You know, that rough first half, and I was just trying to get back and give our team a chance to win. So, but you know, when things are going great, you can kind of hear them and kind of enjoy it. But you know, for a game like yesterday, it's you know, you're trying to focus in. You
know, you could have easily kind of crumbled in that first half, but instead, there's something in you that just doesn't quit. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys will say you've got like that dog in you, and we hear the word like moxie all the time with you. Mm-hmm. Where does that mentality come from?
I think a lot of it has to come from Brett Favre. That's who I grew up watching. And you go back and watch his film, the dude never gave up. He was tough. And he had a lot of fun out there. And, you know, that's why I fell in love with the game of football. So every time I go out there, I pretend like it's my last game. I go out there and try to have fun and leave it all out there. And I think that's what makes me the player I am today.
You've got Indianapolis coming up. Now that you get it was 1 week with the starters that you had last week preparing for it. What are you wanting to work on this week now that you've got even more time there?
I would say more with just timing with receivers. Hopefully we get, you know, Donaldson back, and hopefully get Logan back. But yeah, I think if you just keep on working on the timing with the guys and putting the balls where they want them, you know, we'll be in good shape. And again, offensive line keep doing their thing, running backs keep running the ball like they are, and I think we'll be all right shape.
You know, it was really cool to be able to see how your teammates were interacting with you in the locker room post game, and there's just pure joy from everyone for what you had to overcome, for keeping them in the game, for being able to get that victory. And there's that one picture with Jon Allen.
Yeah.
You know, find somebody that looks at you like, you know. But, you know, how does it make you and help you to know that your teammates, like, they believe in you? Mm-hmm. And that's very evident.
Yeah, well, going back to the picture, I texted Emily, our photographer, and I was like, you really had to post that one? You know, it looks kind of suspect there, but, you know, it was a great moment for Jon and I. And he's been in my ear throughout the year. You know, if your time ever comes, we believe in you, and just go out there and do your thing. So, you know, when you have a captain like that, you know, telling you that even when you're not starting, you know, it means a lot to me. You know, when all the guys come up after the game, it's nice to have that encouragement. It's nice to have, you know, guys having your back. So, you know, they know I got their back too, and hopefully we can just keep this thing rolling.
Okay, 2 wins in a row. Let's make it 3 in Indianapolis. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
You can catch the full interview on Commanders.com as well as the team's YouTube channel. Now, another fun nugget from Sunday's game. Heinicke's second quarter touchdown to Antonio Gibson was the 3,000th touchdown in Washington's franchise history. Washington is one of 6 franchises with at least 3,000 total TDs. Now, for more on how the team is preparing for the next 3,000 touchdowns, let's send it down to the practice field. This is our FedEx Field Pass, where Now meets next.
Thanks, Julie. London, new week. We have a quarterback change. Matty Ice is sitting down with Sam Ehlinger and none other than another running back that's defense have to worry about. What are some of the things that you think coming into this game, especially defensively when it comes to a quarterback change and then knowing that they have a potent backfield with one of the league's best running backs?
Well, just with Sam being the quarterback now for the Colts, you know he's a more mobile quarterback, more athletic quarterback. So from a defensive standpoint, you're saying, okay, what would that offense look like? You can expect him to probably move the pocket a lot more, run more bootlegs, nakeds, use him more in the running game with zone reads and things like that. So that's the challenge you'll have to deal with. And the thing about Ehlinger, he can buy time, scramble, extend plays, and that allows for receivers to get open. So our defensive lines going to have to be key when they're rushing the quarterback, opportunities to make sure they're disciplined in their rush lanes and not get too far up the field, just pass rush awareness. And also from a coverage standpoint, the defensive backs and linebackers may have to cover a little bit longer because you have a quarterback who can extend plays.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that because if you think about it, the Chicago game a couple of weeks ago, we saw ourselves almost shoot ourselves in the foot defensively that last drive. You know what I mean? So when you have a quarterback, and not to say that, Sam was going to come in the game and have, the same kind of sauce that Justin Fields had. But when you have a guy that's mobile like that, how hard and difficult is it for you to stay honest to what you see? Because you can be in great coverage, and then he says, okay, I see a lane, let me take off and get a first down. What tricks or what kind of things that you do defensively as a linebacker or a back end guy that say that I got to keep my eyes on that quarterback if things go to sham?
Yeah, from a pass rush standpoint, when you're rushing the quarterback, when you know you have a guy who can escape the pocket, who can buy time, you definitely don't want to go inside too often if you're a defensive end in terms of taking those inside moves. If you do, make sure your defensive tackle, you're on the same page with him, and he covers you, he's going to loop around. So those types of things, maybe run a little bit more games to kind of restrict or constrict some of those rush lanes where he can escape the pocket. But also there may be a situation where you have to be a little bit unselfish and saying, hey, I can't just go all the way up the field. I got to kind of rush and make sure I don't get too far past the quarterback. It's called pass rush awareness, not getting too far past the quarterback in terms of your depth, and be ready to retrace your steps in case he tries to step up and run.
For our run defense, we've been pretty stout, for the most part, you can say. We've been playing against some of the best competition. How do you see things panning out with knowing that Jonathan is now, he's starting to get his groove now. Last week, I believe he had 85 scrimmage yards, and, he was hurt, previous couple of weeks, but it seemed like last week one of those weeks to his introduction back into the league saying, I'm here,
Yeah, you can tell they didn't want to put too much on his plate. He only had 10 carries, but he averaged 5.8 a carry, and there was a couple times where you have to make sure there's no lane he can't get through. He can be designed. It could be designed to go in the A gap. He has the ability to jump cut and has the vision and the speed to go from the A gap all the way outside. If you get nosy, start peeking inside, you have to be disciplined in making sure you're where you need to be in your run lanes, your run lane gap too. So it's going to be a big challenge going against a guy like Jonathan Taylor, also Sam Ehlinger. Yeah. But I think the defense will be ready.
Definitely think our defense will be ready, and I know we can talk about these guys all day, but we're going to send it back to you, Julie.
Good stuff, guys, and get ready, Commanders fans, because the Vikings are coming to town. You can get your tickets now for the matchup on November 6th at 1 p.m. Tickets start at just $44. It is our annual Salute to Service game. We will be honoring our military with a service scarf and a hat giveaway. Visit commanders.com/tickets to get your tickets. Coming up, it's been a while since Washington has been able to pick up a win against the Colts. We'll revisit their most recent victory against Indy as we continue to celebrate the franchise's 90th anniversary. This season, we are celebrating 90 with Dominion National. We go back to October 27th of 2002, Washington's last win against the Colts. The defense led the way in this one, coming up with 3 sacks and 2 interceptions against Indy quarterback Peyton Manning. Quarterback Shane Matthews threw for 210 yards and a pair of TDs in the 26-21 victory. My goodness, going way, way, way back for that one. So before we wrap up the show, we're going to play a little game of stat or fiction. I'm going to rattle through a whole bunch of different stats, see if you guys think they are true or not. We've got like the Wizard and Jon Snow back here on this one. Okay, let's get straight to it. Washington leads the NFC in passing plays of 25 or more yards. Santana, stat, fiction?
Fiction.
Yeah, I'm going to go fiction also.
Fact, Washington has 16 passing plays of 25 or more yards.
Wow.
Yeah, throwing deep,
impressive.
right?
Wow.
They also give up just as many as well. With 77 receiving yards against Indy in 2010, Santana Moss holds the franchise's single game record for most receiving yards against the Colts. What do you think?
I'll say fiction.
I'm going to say fact, just because Santana's on the show. I think
We
this
want to?
Yeah.
No, but you know what? It's okay. It goes to Art Monk. We can give him that. 148
dang, I'm
against them in
0 for 2.
1981. That's all right. If you're going to not have that record, it's okay that Art does.
Hey, 77 yards.
How about this? Ron Rivera has never lost to the Colts as a head coach. Stat or fiction?
I'm going to go fact.
Yep, 2-0.
I was going to go fact too, but you already said it.
Since week 3, Washington has allowed the fewest yards per rush in the NFC. Santana, stat or fiction?
In the NFC?
Yes.
Stat.
Yes. No, it's a fact. Yeah.
Stat.
Yeah, I'm
Stat.
going to say yeah.
I've been
It is
saying
a fact.
fact.
3.67 yards rush allowed is the fewest
That's
in
real.
the conference.
Put it like that.
We talked about this team turning the corner. Let's see if they can keep it going against Indianapolis. Thanks for joining us on Command Center. You look good with the gray beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snowman.